Yeah! Woo! All right, that was a good show. Matt, let's wrap it up. No, Matt, I'm very excited to be here. And people are still trickling in. They're still
Hit that
trickling in.
intro.
So we're going to say hi, everybody, and welcome to a Malakai Black debuting. Woohoo! Andrade El Idolo. Black masking. Donning. I wrote that wrong. He's black mask donning. That's what I meant to say. What a DC fan he is. Matt, we're also going to be fluffing. Oh, fluff those old NWO memories. We're at the anniversary, kind of. Matt, it's another episode of the Brothers of Discussion. We're talking Malakai's debut, of course, comparing it with Andrade's debut. A little different between the two. Matt, we're talking Keith Lee's eventual return someday. Try to give our tweet-length reviews of Great American Bash and AEW's Road Rager. And Matt has a new list he wants to debut today. We're going to try and top 10 it. Favorite things that wrestling fans love to bash.
In honor of the Great American Bash.
That's right. Bashing and bashing. It's been a not unseasonably warm, but it has been a spicy week of professional wrestling. Matt, my new windows are fantastic. The new door wall is just a blast. I actually almost feel safe in my own home. Matt, how are things? Besides the 3 wasp nests that the poor installers found when they were putting the windows in. Matt, how are things on your end over there? How is the Casa de Eddie and Teddy?
It's doing wonderful. We just spoke yesterday on our Red Wings episode about finally, this oh boy, the long journey of my kitchen flooding. The day I was supposed to get my countertops, I finally got the new countertops. They are in. They're installed. They're beautiful. We could use them this morning, which was fun. Something we learned though, just to give everybody a little advice here. Something we weren't taught until they were done and installed, and there was caulk to secure everything.
Wall-to-wall caulk at Matt's house.
Quartz.
Got it.
Quartz is not. It can still be stained. It's only stain resistant. So the guy who installed it, like, part of the reason we went with quartz is because it's supposed to. We were told that you couldn't stain it, and that's our big thing. Is like messes with coffee and stuff like that, and wine. And the guy's walking out of the house, and he goes, "Oh, by the way, clean up those coffee and wine stains because it'll stain." And we think about one of the main reasons we wanted to upgrade. Looks is one thing, but we also like function. And to be told like the one reason we got new counters. And we went through this whole fiasco of the $25,000 insurance claim. The guy walking out of the house goes, "All right, coffee stains, wine stains, huge problem with quartz." And we're like, "Okay, cool. That's what we had with the old counters. So thanks, buddy." But it is beautiful. It's wow. Gorgeous. We used to just, we had like the countertops you'd find at a random apartment, like the default inside of an apartment. So this is
like what I have.
This is definitely an upgrade. No, you guys have a pretty nice counter. It's nicer than I was just there. You can't lie to me. You all right?
Ours are ringed with coffee all over the place. But we got a lot of stuff to talk about today, Matt. I think we got to open up with Malakai, and this was stunning news. It came out of nowhere. You and I were in the middle of the hockey podcast, and it was so stunning because we were all sure, even if he was released, that he had a 90-day non-compete clause. But according to our buddy at Fightful, Sean Ross Sapp, journalist extraordinaire for the wrestling community. My God, it's one of the few integritous voices that we have, where actually feels like news stories come out of him. He said, "Oops, WWE forgot to update his, Tommy End, Aleister Black in WWE, now Malakai Black. They forgot to update his contract. When you get called up, you're supposed to go from a 30-day non-compete, should you get released, to a 90-day non-compete. WWE made an oops. What Whoops. Now he's got just nuclear fan support right now. He came in, gave a black mass kick to Arn Anderson, had another dose for Cody. This is stunning stuff. On the same day, I don't know if you got a chance to see on Instagram, but he put out a 5-minute intro video, basically still staying in kayfabe about what his character was. That it was as if he'd been imprisoned for 5 years and he was being released. I guess calling his stay at WWE a prison creatively.
Right.
And now he's free. It looks like he's already going to be in the upper echelon, going up against Cody in his first feud. But this was electric news. We know what WWE thought of him. Not only did they not book him, they forgot to update his contract in their, for their own benefit. Matt, what are your opening thoughts here on Malakai Black jumping to Wednesday nights?
Is there a possibility? Is there a possibility that it wasn't forgotten? They were like, "We like this cat. Let's not screw him over." You can say no real quick, and we'll move on. But
potentially, I don't know if they would have given him that gift. It didn't seem like they really gave him much else to work with.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I had that thought like just for a split second. I was like, like the legalities of some of that stuff and how strict they are with so many dumb things. To think that this is the kind of thing that slips through the cracks is kind of weird. So I mean, we don't know what exactly happened, but we know it's good. I mean, those are my initial thoughts. Were holy crap, because that Instagram video came out earlier in the day, before Dynamite started, and I threw it into the notes. That like right when I watched the video, it's like, oh, cool. Let's speculate. Let's figure out where Aleister Black is going, and Tommy End. Let's figure out where he's going. And I think he does introduce himself at the end of that video as Malakai. Yes. That's to me. I was like, all right, that's going to be the topic of the show. Is we're going to discuss the potential.
Let's project where he's going.
Maneuver, yeah. Right? Exactly. And then I don't know. I think this spins everything in a completely different direction. I do think it is weird that he had that video. And it's pretty wild too, because of this fudging of the numbers with the 90 days and the 30 days. Like, another element to this is how scarce a real wrestling surprise is, and how caught off guard we all were as wrestling fans, how rare that is nowadays. And to think it's all because, at least the story is, somebody fudged the numbers.
It's more than that, though. I mean, he had stories out there. He would bring up the 90-day non-compete. He leaked stories about WWE trying to re-sign him. His wife returned to WWE programming. If you're out there leaking WWE's trying to re-sign you, and that you have this 90-day time period where we just shut down our, that possibility in our heads. Who was leaking that story? Was it him? Because if it was him, that's even more brilliant, to try and really build the mystery over where and when he's going to show up. So yeah, just those couple pieces. And I really loved when he did come out and he had the big mark on his eye. So he's still further maintaining the storyline that he had with WWE, where he got mashed in the eyeball, and he's going to start, seeking retribution. So I just love that he's going to continue doing that.
Buddy Murphy, who did not go the Tommy End route, Malakai Black route, he has been making the podcast rounds and telling his, horrible story of working for the WWE, how awful it is, making all that money and then getting the release. But he was quick to jump on Twitter and be like, hey, don't forget who did that to you. That was me. So if you need to continue to tell that story, I'm available. Here's my email for booking. Like it's like, good for you, buddy. Of course we love Buddy Murphy here. I just it is an interesting. It's just facts that we're talking about, but it is an interesting look. Not that we want to get into it, but the two different ways that those gentlemen have handled the release. But Mike, yes. I thought I did like my favorite word, a modicum of research here on Malakai. It's Hebrew, Mike, for my angel. Also, prophet from the Old Testament. So I like the idea of Malakai and going with this prophet from the Old Testament idea because Alistair's character before he was unceremoniously released was supposed to be like this cult leader, and everybody said, "Oh, you look like the guy from Far Cry." Bingo, bango. That's what he was going for. So this idea of having a character that you named yourself a Old Testament prophet, like that still feels like we're in that realm. So I'm excited about that. I don't know how much we could take from the Hebrew translation for my angel. Could just be something where if he's naming it, is it just that he himself is his angel, or was he given this name by somebody else? And that'll be a story to come out later, and he is the angel of somebody else. That's really.
I mean, they got weeks of television stories to kind of, expand that character and let us learn all about him. So yeah, I think they're definitely going to touch on that stuff. He's going to be allowed to really just open it up creatively to tell that story. That based on his recent interviews, he was pitching this stuff to WWE before he got released. So now it looks like he's going to be able to crack open that that book and share the story.
Yeah, speaking of books, our boy Ish from the Hockey Podcast Network, Mike, he's calling you out. You got a lot of books back there. Have you read every single one that is behind you?
I have read a vast majority of the books on that side. A few of those are what do they call those? Not anime. What's the
manga?
Manga. Yeah, there's some manga, some dirty stuff in there, all sorts of.
Yeah, I was trying to think, what's the porn version of that? It's not anime, it's hentai. That's what hentai. You have a ton of hentai back
it's
there. It's
not quite at the hentai level, but it's got some adult warnings when you open the saran wrap.
I've got my 6 books.
Hey, you're catching up, bud. You're catching up. Yeah.
All right, Greg's thrown out there. This is right in Greg's wheelhouse. The thing we brought up with the
we got our special correspondent for looking into the science.
Absolutely, yeah, Greg. I'm glad you're here for this conversation. Now he put in there angel as in messenger, so that goes back to the idea of my angel being named by somebody else. Is there somebody that this character will be the messenger for? I like that. That's the continued idea. It's crazy. It's like we're getting into conspiracy theories, right? Now, Greg threw it out there. Did you unscramble it yet? Mike, have you heard of unscrambling Malakai? Or is it Malakai Black that needs to be unscrambled?
I have not. Greg, if that's an anagram.
Has the breaking news, I'm hoping.
Yeah, he's got the scoop. Bust out that anagram, Greg. What did you unfind? What did you unearth over there? While you're doing that too, the other thing that I wanted to bring up. Oh, we got a few folks. Jeez. The feud opportunities for Malakai. Yeah. Obviously, it looks like he's going to be batting lead off with Cody.
There we go. Blackmail. All right. That's I like this research, Greg. I'm all about it. So there's so many different ways to take this, but Mike,
Greg,
I'm
you and we're gonna Zoom watch Zodiac together. All right. I love that movie. I think you and I are gonna have a good time watching Zodiac. Oh my God. I hope that they're putting that kind of thought into it. I hope that that's there. But yeah, feud wise, I do want. Obviously, I got to get Greg's take on this too. I have kind of a goofy one I want to see. Obviously Cody's going to be there to, get Malakai over as a legitimate threat. With Cody being, the face of the company. And I'm going this route just because of how much success Alistair's story was. It didn't need any titles at all, not a single belt. And it was just his feud with the Velveteen Dream. Okay, so I don't want Velveteen coming to AEW. Let me pump the brakes right there. What I'm saying is that he had such a great like mesh or like style clash of styles, if you will, with somebody who's a little bit goofier. And that's where I think that Orange Cassidy and Malakai, I would really want to see that feud because we've already seen it in the resume how well he did with Velveteen. Matt, I don't think you're on those coattails. I think you had a entirely different direction you wanted to go in. But where do you ultimately? Maybe not ultimately. We'd love to see him win a belt. But yeah, where do you want to see him in AEW? Which feud do you think he could really sink his teeth into?
Well, I have this list, and I really like that you added a name to it. But I mean, they all kind of had like a purpose. Like I like the idea of Cody because there's a great story to be told there of their exits from the WWE. But clearly, someone is going in a darker, more evil direction with it, and I like that element. And I mean. God damn, is Tommy N Malakai? Should we just officially do it? He's Malakai.
He's Malakai now.
I can stop doing that.
Yeah, I got Instagram. I'm hip.
But
I saw the video.
He went so deep already into talking about, like you said, he's in a prison for 5 years. He's sticking with the injured eye. I mean, this is something where he's going to be able to rip apart whatever Cody was doing in the past. I mean, you could probably pick anybody that was formerly a WWE superstar and is now an AEW wrestler. Moxley would probably be a lot of fun. But Cody makes sense to me because you're going after, you go after the top dog and sticking with that prison element. That's what you got to do.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But then the number one on this list, and I'm going to take this as my number one, but Mike, I think you came up with an even better one just for strictly wrestling. So I'll save that for you. But my number one for this, I tried to fantasy book it a couple of weeks ago because I thought Zelina was still going to be a free agent. What I wanted was her to manage Andrade, and clearly that didn't happen. And I wanted it to result in Malakai making his debut and taking his wife as his manager and really going for a spin. Now, that's not happening, but I think with the elements and the character elements that are being implemented already with Malakai, I think it's actually going to be better without doing something like that because that gets a little too soap opera-y, and I know we're all wrestling fans, so we're all okay with the soap opera. But with that being said, like I think this was already, from a wrestling perspective, going to be one of the best feuds that we could get because we've already seen these two. And for them to continue just strictly wrestling skill feuding, it's just exciting from that perspective. But again, mix in what's going on with the two of these guys getting their release. And, the two characters, we haven't really gotten into Andrade, who went with the Black Mask from Batman get up. Somebody's going, a little more goofy and fun and maybe a little mafia because that's what Black Mask is. And then, of course, just going straight up paranormal and freaky as hell. It's Malakai. So two wildly different, on the spectrum there, two wildly different characters. And that's what this, good storytelling is going to be all about. And like, you had me cross off the list, and I thank you for it. The easy thing is to look at this and just go, Malakai Sting, Malakai Darby Allin, and you talked me into this way of thinking, but it's definitely like snore bored. Like we get it; they're both dark side. Like, what are you gonna do with it? You're just gonna have Sting come out to some snow. Darby Allin's gonna be all slinky out in the stands, I guess, and be all quiet and moody. And then Malakai's going to come out and what? Say, you're moody. And then they fight in the ring. Boom. Story done. Fart sandwich. So you're right. Like, that's the easy one to go to. But absolutely, that should not be a top feud for us to be excited about. Maybe a good wrestling match. Top feud? No.
Matt really breaking down how the sausage was made.
Oh,
you know?
how dumb I was for putting that on my list.
He went to the hot dog factory and said, "Ooh, somebody put some soy sauce on some pork ass, huh? Whoa, put it in a meat grinder, huh? Like, hey, hold on, it's almost like hot dogs, all right?" The other feud that I would say I'm pretty pumped about, Matt. If I can't get my serious versus I'd like deadly serious versus comedy stylings against Cassidy. It seems like everybody gets for me, a dream feud if they go up against Fock. I almost called him Fock. I did call him Fock. Pac. Matt, the two of them are both, as I'm going to use that word again, serious as a heart attack. But like you noted there, Malakai, bringing that element of the supernatural, and Pac just being so grounded in, I'm just a bastard who's my one like touch point with human existence is that I am part of this wrestling sport that people like to indulge in, and I'm fantastic at it. So to just bring like that, kind of a more of a storytelling perspective versus a guy who's just gonna be the best version of what the human body can muster in terms of make me the perfect athlete. That's gonna be Pac. And it's not like Malakai is a poor athlete himself, but I'd really love to see those two go at it. The other thing I wanted to bring up to you, Matt, because we did have these debuts so close to each other, it's just the way Malakai and Andrade have had kind of different first impressions here for the AEW faithful. Malakai is immediately coming in. Black Mass kicking Arn Anderson into oblivion. That bat flip he did with the microphone was outstanding. He toppled in his beautiful sweatpants, sold it like a motherfucker. And then Cody comes in, face of the company, also eats a Black Mass. And then Andrade. He did get the Vicky Guerrero treatment, right, where she kind of helped escort him to the ring. Like you mentioned, he got that entrance, DC Comics, Batman villain style. But he's in there with Matt Sydal, and incredible. Again, AEW just keeps collecting these incredible physical specimens, but it definitely is, a little different from how each of those guys is coming in. I don't know if that means that they see more in Malakai, like a more marketable star. Obviously, every single star is, not on the exact same plateau. Some of them have higher ceilings than others, and maybe that's where Malakai's creativity comes in. But would you think that a diehard Andrade fan, a guy who's, man, he's a luchador, but he's so fucking handsome. He's the only luchador who doesn't wear a mask. Do you think that an Andrade fan would be kind of jealous, kind of envious of like the Malakai treatment from day one versus the Andrade treatment from day one?
Oh my God, absolutely. This is a great question because I hated the Andrade like fart sandwich reveal that he's, hey, Andrade's on AEW. And then of course letting JR take over. You know what? JR fucked up last night too. I am so done. God damn. You guys, like, I don't fucking get it. What is with you? That JR call? He's Tommy End or whatever his name's going to be. What do you mean, whatever his name's going to be? Stop breaking fucking kayfabe, you dumb piece of garbage. Jesus. Like, I don't know what's worse. Is everybody that gives him the free pass or just like AEW, like just playing everybody on the nostalgia and going, hey, he could say whatever, and all these people are going to eat it right up. I don't know. It takes you out of the moment. It took me out of the moment. I'm sorry. I
love when Matt throws shade at Hall of Famers.
It's not
deserved, right? He did kind of whatever he wants to call himself these days. Like,
goddamn.
Luckily, Excalibur was there, and I think kind of Excalibur was trying to allude to, well, we know him as Tommy End. I wrestled him like 15 years ago. But it looks like he's going to go as Malakai now. So I think that's what he's going to call himself. Hey? Wednesday Night Mass. Man, read that comment out for the people.
Yeah, it's not AEW anymore. It's called Wednesday Night Mass. I do
Compliments
love
of
that
Greg.
so much.
Yeah.
Greg, you're
My
batting
Zodiac
1,000
buddy.
tonight.
Yeah.
No, how many moments does this guy have to kill before it's just enough is enough? And how many times do people need to step up to the plate? He's just an announcer. He's an announcer. Like, let him go. Boom. I mean, then I'm not complaining about it, right? Doesn't everybody want to like not listen to Matt bitch about JR every week? Maybe.
Well,
Maybe you guys like it. I don't know.
I think people just look at him like, if Sting is in the ring with Darby Allin, that gives Darby Allin the rub. So I think what they're trying to get at is JR in some capacity. Malakai, Tommy Ed. In some capacity, they're saying, well, a living legend, a Hall of Fame voice for professional wrestling, mentioned wrestler A, B, or C, said wow, or what a suplex there, So I think that's what they're getting at, but I mean, Marv Albert retired. Maybe JR could follow in Marv's footsteps. It's okay.
There's no strategy here. Anybody can call a suplex. There are guys younger than him that could still call, and they could probably get him for less than what JR is getting paid. This is all.
Let me build a bridge with you. Let me build a bridge with you. Okay. I don't want to necessarily throw shade at a Hall of Famer who's made many of my childhood memories, but I will say that if I was part of the production team and I knew that I had a huge moment that I wanted to put in highlight reels, for weeks and months to come, maybe give those opportunities to Excalibur or Shivani, and not the guy who's, he's at the end. He's on the back nine. He's on the 17th hole, if you will, announcing wise.
He got lost in the woods looking for his ball. Look. You don't. The argument to keep JR around isn't, well, let's just keep him off TV. That'll be.
I don't want to keep him off TV, but if it's like it's Orange Cassidy versus the Blade. That's I'm gonna watch it, but I don't need
no
stellar, John Carpenter doing the voiceover for the Thing commentary. I just needed to kind of mail it in. It's okay.
This is
don't say they don't call him a Banana Cassidy for nothing. Like I'd laugh at that. I wouldn't be too upset if he called him I called him Banana Cassidy. Aren't you glad I called him Banana Cassidy?
This is like when Cody and Dustin were tagging with Dusty, and he came in for an atomic elbow, but for the most part he was hanging onto the ring ropes because he was going to topple over if he let go. So you get your by God. But is it really worth it? Because you've got a guy who's probably going to hurt himself if he tries a little too hard or he forgets how old he is. And then what? Then, and I get it at this point. Dusty has passed. And I'm just saying for that, that moment, are we looking back at that and going, thank God Dusty Rhodes got in the ring one more time.
Every week. You know what? This is why I want JR to kind of take more of a back seat. Because every week, Fethtar!
Fethtar's with you.
Listen, I love JR, but Fethtar, would you build a bridge with me and just say, maybe not put him in like the biggest moments of the show? Maybe let Shivani or Excalibur hop in and say, my God, it's Malakai Black. Did you guys follow him on Instagram? Wow, what a 5-minute video that was. Instead of, whatever he's going to call himself these days. The JR barbecue sauce.
I mean,
thank you. Yeah,
I guess
I don't want it to be a weekly segment where we throw shade at the Hall of Famer. But
no, you're right. It totally doesn't have to be a weekly
segment.
You just need to get JR to stop ruining huge moments.
And Fethtar, I don't know if you just popped in, but I need to hear who you want to see Malakai feud with. So far, I threw Orange Cassidy out there. I threw Pac out there. Matt, I think, who did you have? Andrade?
Yep, Andrade. We have Cody, and the last one we haven't mentioned yet, so this is going to be really hard to cut into a separate video, but it's Kenny Omega, which is the reason I have him on this list is because he is the everybody should get a shot to face him.
He's like the Goldberg of work rate.
It's like a.
But yeah, Fethtar, also our buddy Greg, coming in with some anagram news. Malakai may be an anagram for what was it? Blackmail?
Blackmail.
That's a lot to unpack. Where's that emoji with the head exploding? And I hope that Greg doesn't think I'm being sarcastic. I've watched Zodiac like 15 times. It's like my favorite movie.
Fethtar's going Darby Allin.
Sell me on Darby Allin, Fethtar. That's like Allin could get me over as a wrestler. There's nobody who sells, just full out, just sacrifices every, ounce of calcium in their bones to get you over. Fethtar, I want you to sell me on that one a little bit. It's because I think the characters are just a little similar, dark wise. Yeah, not a bad idea.
Just quick, it's AKA blackmail. So I even screwed it up because I was looking at it right now going, you know what? Malakai needs a B for, you need blackmail. But yeah, that's it. Yeah. AKA. Okay. But yeah, for Darby Allin, we discussed it a little bit. But you're right, Mike. That is top to bottom going to be an amazing opportunity for Malakai to look like $1 million because he's gonna probably, whatever we're gonna call this new move. I'm assuming his finisher will still be some form of black mass because he's Malakai Black, right? So he'll black mass Darby Allin into the 10th row. Like somehow Darby will find a way to shoot himself out into the audience. And we'll be better for it.
That is a good take because I would love to see how far into outer space Darby Allin would take a black mass kick. He would probably go into like an interstellar black hole. Like that's how far out he would go.
He's gonna take it, and this is gonna be one of the it'll look as good as Dolph Ziggler taking a spear. Like he'll sell the hell out of that thing, and he knows his space. Like he knows his spot. He's still got his buddy Sting. He had a championship run. I just. His best space is to make us like a potential super duper star like Malakai look like $1 million. That's where the money's at. Mike, potential tag partner for Malakai? Wanted to throw that out there.
Oh, obviously Darby Allin,
Yeah. I kind of like that pick too. Right, like it seems like the too easy of a pick.
It might get a little interesting. I'm not ready to do the tag team portion yet. But if he ends up being part of the Dark Order in some capacity, if they ever go from babyface to heel again, if they ever drop Hangman and go heel, it would probably be under Malakai's watch. But we had another. Just a couple quick ones because I know there's a kind of a fun list you wanted us to go through. We're on the year anniversary of two things. One I'm going to bring up first because I actually give a shit about it is Keith Lee watch. We have not seen Keith Lee wrestle since roughly our dad's birthday in February against Matt Riddle.
Take notes, everybody.
Yeah, keep track of Paul Klink's birthday, everybody. # Paul Klink's birthday. And Keith has just been gone. He was, I believe he was supposed to win, was it the U.S. title? And then he got pulled out. And for health reasons, for these mysterious health reasons, we just haven't seen him back. I know there's all sorts of conjecture with, the pandemic still existing. We thought maybe COVID or some crazy thing like that, but we don't know. But the reason that we're bringing it up again is he's still out, and this is the anniversary of Keith Lee becoming double champ, North American and NXT champion. We really thought he was just basically going to sweep through and have a hell of a start in WWE, maybe even, win a Royal Rumble, something like that. But it hasn't happened yet. He's been pushed okay at the main level, main roster level. But we're just floundering right now. Just kind of in a wait and see approach. Matt, I know you were pretty pumped, even though he did take down Adam Cole to become that double champ. But also a fan of Keith Lee, I imagine.
Yeah. I mean, there's not too much to say here, but what a bummer it is. So, yeah, I'm bummed. We'll keep an eye out, and maybe one day he'll have an opportunity to go to AEW and tag with Malakai and tell us the whole story.
Yeah, right. The other anniversary is the one WWE is fluffing themselves over and over about is the NWO debut. They're celebrating that. WWE shop is all over the NWO shirts. They got our beloved Rhea Ripley pimping out those has-been black and white T-shirts.
Shinsuke,
but they did it to Shinsuke too.
Yeah, he loves doing that stuff. I wouldn't say did it. He's always involved.
At least was he on one of his patented surfboard videos? I like watching those.
Yeah.
He's a good surfer.
Hey, I mean, this is one of those things that just would not have happened if it wasn't for bad contract negotiating.
Listen, we joke, and it's tongue-in-cheek, but if you like wrestling and you liked it in the 90s, chances are NWO had an impact on your life. It was, Matt, I don't think it's really an argument. Don't give me Bullet Club. Matt, this is probably the best faction of all time. I mean, not even casual wrestling fans. This transcended outside of wrestling, one of those, special things. And I'm not going to say Bullet Club transcended past wrestling when it's a T-shirt at Hot Topic. That doesn't count. I'm just going to say one weird thing about them because, that Hulk Hogan betrayed WCW. That's, one of the best calls ever. And I would give them credit as the best faction ever. But do you think it's kind of weird that obviously Hogan had the title for a while? We know the Outsiders did hold tag team gold for a while, but I'd never rank like Outsiders as like one of the best tag teams ever. Am I alone in that thinking?
I think it was cool that they were always, that they'd be out there together. But yeah, I don't know. I don't see them as like having some major tag team wrestling matches that didn't result in the thing we're talking about right now, which is why we rewatch them. So no, I'm right there with you. I would say that they should be pretty happy with being told that you were one of the top 3 members. We're talking about Kevin Nash and Scott Hall. Top 3 members of the NWO wouldn't exist without you. Outsiders was fun, but this is what it was all about.
I mean, I think they were easily the number 1 heel faction ever because they basically turned the entire WCW roster into baby faces like that. And then helped get, like Sting into just, into the upper stratosphere, brother. Not that he needed a ton of help, but because he had that evil dance partner in the NWO, man, what a way to run the program. Until it obviously ran its course and half the roster was wearing black and white or red and black or,
Yeah, they definitely knew how to get you to like watch it. It's like the old Saturday Night Live issue, and I think we've brought this up before, but how hard it is to like end a sketch. And like you and I are huge fans of I Think You Should Leave, and at the present, there's some episodes of I Think You Should Leave where the ending is just kind of like, what? Like I think that went on about 30 seconds too long. And that's a sketch. So we're talking about the same exact idea, but for something that went on for years. Just went on, probably the same, take a sketch, chop off the last 30 seconds, do the same thing with NWO, boom. Maybe like the last few meetings where they kept saying like, yeah, just put everybody in NWO. That's how you do it. So something to that effect, either the meetings, the concept planning needed to be cut short, or you could just say, let's cut off, 8 of these heads, not literally, of NWO members and let them try and find some relevancy some other way on the show.
Let me ask you this before we get off this topic.
Yeah.
My favorite like NWO versus WCW match, it's got to be the one that some people poo-poo because it wasn't on a pay-per-view, but I wasn't complaining because we were too little to get pay-per-views. Matt,
was it out of
Goldberg beat Hollywood Hogan for the title. That was one of the most electrifying moments, maybe in television history. I really popped hardcore for that, and I could still go back and watch that video and still get excited about it.
Yeah.
Do you have like an NWO moment like that, like a clash, or
I
just like
mean,
the debut is really stands out?
so one of the things that we do all the time to talk, I mean, besides rating matches by hot dogs, we also talk about how, what matches have you gone back to rewatch. And when I was a kid, I know I loved when the Wolfpack got involved, but I could safely say, unless it pops up in my Facebook feed or my YouTube feed, I am not searching anything from the Wolfpack. But the match I have watched over and over, and sometimes it's just the entrances because I think it is one of the coolest moments. Besides the fact that the producer screwed up with Sting's song, there it is. One of the coolest moments is Sting and Hollywood Hulk Hogan. I mean, I don't know. I've
A
probably
real
watched.
payoff to a feud, yeah.
Yeah, and the celebration at the end is incredible. But I've probably watched that. I don't know, probably 100 times easily, maybe a couple hundred times. Some mix of either the full match, just the entrances, the ending, which you could watch the full. I think it's like what 5 minutes long if you take out the entrances. I don't know, that this is one of those things that bugs me is that wrestling could do so much better if they would just get a bunch of video editors into a room, hundreds of hours, put in the time, have somebody break down every time, when Sting left, have them break down when they brought in fake Sting, have them, edit together when Sting came back, and give me that as like a TV show. Like that would get me, can I just say that would get me to watch the network again. Give me this full, story of Sting and then overcoming Hulk Hogan. Make it like a movie, but have the dialogues, there. It's in the promos. Then you've got the cool scenes where Sting is in the rafters. And if you need to film crazy stuff now, do that. Put some production value into it. But that was an incredible story. I think I don't want to say it's underrated because I mean that Starrcade match is probably, again, I think a lot of people that comes to mind when you think of WCW, but as a moment, storytelling, it is to me maybe underrated and still doesn't get mentioned enough.
Yeah, I mean, I think of one of the things that AEW really tries to channel from WCW is the long-term storytelling.
Yeah.
Finger poke of doom from Fethtar. You know what? He's right, though. I still think about that moment, and I still grind my molars over it. It was that infuriating, and it was effective. It did what it was supposed to do. So Fethtar, I like that call. Big John Studd versus Ted Bundy.
I gotta say, North Moto, you're that is not on my radar. It's not on my Fethtar. I give me a year and a show. I think I'd have to just search that. But yeah, Mike, where were you going with that?
God, I had to look up Ted Bundy again because I was thinking, my God, did they really? Yeah, they did. My bad. All right. For some reason, all I could think of was the serial killer. God, that really threw me through a loop. What I was just gonna say is one of the things that I think AEW is good at.
Yeah.
And one of the things they're bad at. You have those historical moments that you're never gonna forget. And that's where we've seen the exploding barbed wire death match, and it ended in sparklers. And we want them to have that, timeless crystal moment, some of those NWO clashes had versus WCW. But one of the things they are good at emulating is that long-term storytelling. And it looks like they're going to be doing that again with Malakai, where if you have your wrestling history, you don't need it, but it will enhance your experience when you see why he has that, darkened eye or, why that 5-year hiatus of him
Yeah.
being reborn is going to work.
Ted, if you search Ted Bundy though, Northmoto, it still pops up. So it
did autocorrect, but I was definitely kind of thrown for I didn't know if that was a new Netflix special where Ted Bundy was going up against pro wrestlers or something. I watched a lot of those weird. How many serial killers are we going over today? Ted Bundy, Zodiac with Greg. I'm loving it. But Matt, we got one more thing we want to do. 2 more. One's going to be quick. Our tweet length review of the Festival of Friendship on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. But I want to do this first. This is more important. Matt, you got a new list you want to introduce to us, and we got our buddies here. Maybe they can take us some spots we're not thinking of. Matt, bust open this list. What's going on here? What you want to discuss?
Yeah, just celebrating the Great American Bash. I thought it would be fun, and I hope everybody will participate as we go down the list here. But the top favorite things that wrestling fans love to bash. So when we're watching the Great American Bash, of course, our wrestlers in the ring bashing each other, but pro wrestling fans in general have a pretty good. I would say we've all probably done these at least once, and some of us just constantly do it.
No.
And this isn't a bash of pro wrestling fans. This is more or less. I mean, these are things that came to mind because I've done them myself. So I don't know. Let's jump in.
Give us an example so we know where your head's at here, Matt. What was top things to bash? Now, do you mean this is on social media, out loud, kind of a combo of both?
This could be you're sitting on the couch with your buddy and just talking pro wrestling, and this is the thing that your buddy or you are gonna have in mind, and you're gonna shit talk about it, and maybe there's no need for it, but hey, it's like I said, we're going by theme. Things that pro wrestling fans love to bash. Starting with Mike. This could arguably be number 1, but overbooked superstars. Talking Roman Reigns. Mike, my beloved Drew McIntyre became the enemy. We've even had The Rock booed when he was getting overbooked. So it's possible for anybody, but it really is something for me. This is number 10 on the list. But yeah, overbooked superstars getting the bash from from me, from you, from everybody on Twitter. If you win too much, fuck them.
I think the Mount Rushmore of people getting overbooked has to be Cena and Randy Orton. I mean, if one of them wasn't winning, the other one was. That seemed like it was a decade of WWE storytelling. And then I think Roman Reigns has also, chiseled his face under the Mount Rushmore of overbooked superstars. I might need some help to see, who you would even put on there for a non-WWE overbooked superstar Mount Rushmore, because it feels like if you win a championship, you are overbooked in WWE. That's, I think even AJ Styles heard that a few times, which, I thought he was our darling, and then not so much.
Well, the thing of it with what you just mentioned is a non-WWE guy. I mean, people are mad that Cody Rhodes wins matches, and they look at it as like, you're running the company. You should be building up your. You should be losing roster.
Every match. Yeah.
Right, exactly. Like that has been bantied about, and sometimes I agree with it. I think I've had my play on the show of saying that should be the case with certain Cody matches. Could you imagine if he went over on Malakai? But that's it, right? Like, it's not bad, but certainly something we love to bash.
I think that I would be in support of Cody going over on Malakai if he pinned Malakai, peeled his shirt off, and there was a WWE staff shirt underneath. That would be a legendary Hulk Hogan like heel turn.
Mike, next on the list. Or do you want to do some too?
I'm going to throw it in there. Okay. As far as things people like to bash, I think the other one is maybe on the other side, right? Maybe not necessarily overbooked, but they'll say that they're getting booked a little too much for who they are, and that's people giving grief to green wrestlers. I remember getting really excited for Jade Cargill, and I knew what AEW was doing. They were right when Bianca was at the peak of her popularity. AEW tried to prop up, a muscular black woman of similar age. And I was like, well, I know what you're doing, AEW. It's, it looks like you're definitely doing your own Deep Impact Armageddon situation. But I'm pretty pumped for Jade, and I'm excited to see what happens to her. And people really ground their heels in and said, oh, no, you don't. She's green. She's not Bianca Belair. And I'm like, I know she's not polished. But what I'm saying is, so I think when you have that argument coming out, you know that you're about to be talking about something on this bash list. So there's a lot of green wrestlers out there. There's some NXT guys who, people were not super stoked about. Man, I don't know if you have a better example than Jade Cargill, but that one really jumped out at me.
Can I just say, like, for green wrestlers, the one that I thought of when I put this together was Ronda Rousey. Because she looked great as like an athlete, and she could do particular things really well. But then we also know that WrestleMania was a botch. So, the main event, where Becky Lynch wins both titles, botch at the end. You can't even see a replay anywhere of how that match ended because it was a huge botch. But it's funny is that you brought up Jade, because another thing that I have on this list is just sheer coincidence. It is another thing wrestling fans love to bash. And I don't know if you might have seen this on the list and thought, the fuck does that mean? But I'm talking exactly that. Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill getting like the Ascension at the same exact time. Clearly, this is something Jade, like, look at Jade. This wasn't something where she woke up one day and was like, you know what? I'm going to get ripped. No, she's been fucking kicking ass for forever. But I was also, when I put this together, I was thinking of like the Daniel Bryan, Eric Young comparison.
Yep, that's the one I was going to bring up. Yeah.
Right, of Impact Wrestling and WWE. But we also brought up NWO earlier. And of course, there was the New Japan Battleground where they brought in another brand that was coming in. And people always rag on NWO being a copy for that.
You know what? Let's do a black trunked, mustachioed, bald superstar. We'll make him a blue-eyed badass.
I mean, there it is, right there.
Stone Cold Bill Goldberg.
You couldn't like them both. You had to like one or the other. So yep. I'm glad that you brought up Jade for green wrestlers getting booked to win, because that was an easy transition for this one. Mike, do you want to take the next one?
Yeah, I think one of my favorite and least favorite ones is other wrestling fans. This is easily a way, if you want to just kind of
I did want to save this one for last, but it's okay.
If you really want to clean up your friends list and just have heated debates that end in bloodshed, absolutely, bring up the opinions or the loves of another wrestling fan's wrestling interests. And you may never talk to that person again. As far as bashing goes, if it's a WWE person, bashing Little Brother, AEW, if it's the New Japan, elite, saying, oh, you guys just watch the McDonald's of wrestling in WWE. Why don't you watch a real wrestling match, right? New Japan is where it's at. It's always going to happen. It's always going to be there. And it takes a little bit of time, right? To kind of build out your Twitter list and block those people who are going to be like that for you. You really want to funnel it. So it's just the people who share the exact same opinion as you. So you really want to clean up your list, and then maybe add one or two back if you want to, put 2 hours into a rabbit hole arguing what's better, AEW Moxley or AEW, I meant to say New Japan Moxley, but it's a fruitless endeavor to go through that, Matt. There's a lot of blood that gets pumped whenever you get on the case of another type of wrestling fan. Matt, you and I have even got into the point where we will say, just like everything. And people be like, no, why do I have to like everything? Stupid brothers of discussion. And then we get all mad and we argue too. But Matt, did you have an example for that?
Yeah, I mean, what's fun? I wanted to take it and transition into just
Oh, yeah,
something
go for it.
new.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's my thing, and that's where I wanted this all to like come to fruition
Kind of
with other
culminate.
just other wrestling fans. But something new seems to be the thing that is, I mean, to pro wrestling and booking it and anybody who's producing the show is just kind of like, Jesus, can we try something new? Because I don't know, like we do it online, and even I'm guilty. Remember they did the mimosa match, and I was like, what are we doing? Guys are splashing around in mimosas. Get the fuck out of here! Who gives? Get out of here! Come on, it's pro wrestling. There's a way to do it.
Yeah.
But no, then there's the past year, and we had all of our cinematic matches. Something new. It came out of necessity. But goddamn, could we not get through one without the entire planet going, oh my god, we're gonna tear out Rey Mysterio's eye? Yes! Tear it out, swish it, chant and yell and do something. I mean, Aleister Black and Malakai is gonna carry his broken eyeball with him. Why couldn't pro wrestling fans do it? So yeah, to me, something new seems to be that one sticks with me as something that's really frustrating because all I ever want are new things in my pro wrestling. And anytime I feel like it's attempted, it immediately gets squashed.
Yeah, I got one for you, and they definitely go hand in hand. It's people, to bash anything that's absurd or goofy.
I knew you were going here.
For me, it's this debate, right, where I'm still trying to figure out why it makes people so upset, and I don't know if it's that they're worried that their favorite wrestlers, like, not being treated seriously for, like a championship push, but I look at it like a lot of the times I feel like they do have a vested interest in being like the buffoon, to be the clown. And I'm looking at you, Orange Cassidy. I love that dude. I think I have 2 shirts of his now. The orange one with the thumbs up, and then the best friends where he's like a puppy, and then they're kitties, and they're giving each other kitty cat kisses.
Yeah, that one's pretty cool.
But it's this debate, right, where wrestling is supposed to be work rate, and
work rate.
If people can actually go and wrestle, and what kind of submission holds they have, and I'm like, I want to be entertained. And Orange Cassidy, being a goofball and being, self-aware and tongue-in-cheek, and he can still wrestle too. That stuff is something that interests me. There's people that hated Breezango. They didn't think it was funny at all. They're really upset about Nikki Cross being a superhero. And the more we learn about it, the more she kind of sounds like she wanted to do it. So if that's what she wants to do, and she can sell it, what are we so mad about? And then, one of the infamous recent examples is Miz and Morrison fighting zombies. And I don't know if people were upset that they didn't commit to kayfabe and that they came back the next week and they weren't dead from zombies. I don't know if that's that's what's got people so upset, or that they sold the zombies as being real. I thought it was a blast, and I'm pretty sure Miz and Morrison were tickled about it as well. Like they did a really good job, about as good a job as you could expect.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I would just kind of recalibrate what it means to watch a professional wrestling program, and I think it's okay to be silly. And as heartbroken as I was to see Nikki Cross, knowing that this meant, well, she's probably not getting a championship. God damn it. If she's still making money and she's having a blast out there, who am I to judge? And I'm going to be buying a t-shirt as soon as it's available.
Well, Mike, you were talking about what is, wrestling supposed to be. And that's like one of my big bugaboos. But you got to talk about work rate. Talk about work rate. What about big meaty men slapping meat? I think our boy Biggie finally sold me, because I was pretty guilty. And this is the next one on the list is the big meaty men. It shouldn't always be about AJ Styles getting all the love,
accolades, and yeah.
Give me Goldberg, give me Biggie. I want
give me 3 Goldbergs.
Yeah, give me 3 Goldbergs. I want to see them try to spear each other, go head first, and just see what happens. I mean, two guys built for football, just locking arms, locking horns, if I may. I mean, go at it. Like, this is something too where you do those big meaty men matches, and it's at this point something different. It's not just the the high flying stuff and the acrobatics. I think there's a space for it, and I think sometimes we just need to pull back a little bit and just kind of let the man. Let the power take over, feel the power. God damn, I can't get over all the New Day stuff here. But yeah, there should be a space for Big E and Roman Reigns to take over. Have a short match, but everything is just filled with power. And I just wish that, wrestling fans could kind of let go of what, again, the work rate, what it's supposed to be. What's a 5-star match? What does Dave Meltzer say was a good wrestling match? Okay, I like that one then. Just let it go. Let Big E and Roman Reigns go at it. Knock each other out in a couple of minutes. God damn, would that be fun to watch. Because it's clean, right? It's a nice, clean finish when you do something like that. You don't have to overbook anything. You've just got some power moves and boom, you're done.
Boom.
I think I set you up there.
Speaking of power moves, Matt, when I introduce this next one, I'm going to give you one name, and I'm hoping to get a popski out of you. All right, so another thing people love to bash are botches. Matt, I'm going to give you, if you see this person trending on Twitter, a botch just occurred, hashtag Nia Jax. There's that popski I was looking for. I don't know. It's... maybe one of the quickest things to see trend on Twitter is if somebody makes an oops, a whoops, and lays a little potato on somebody. Maybe it's Braun Strowman accidentally hitting Brock Lesnar in the face a little too hard, and Brock wheeling around and hitting Braun so hard, he looks like Snake from The Simpsons. Where his whole lower jaw shifts in his skull, and you can see it in slow motion.
Yep.
Matt, there's a whole, we love Botchamania. We love Matthew. One of the, top rated, just video collections on YouTube is just wrestling botches. Matt, even on our show, you are basically turning it into a weekly segment. Every time Hall of Fame legend himself, Jim Ross, manages to make one itsy little mistake, and Matt will jump all over that botch and gnash his teeth and crucify that poor old man, just trying to sling some barbecue sauce, and Matt won't let him do it, will you?
Good old Andre, who made his debut on AEW. Yep.
Well, he is a giant, the luchador, so.
Or wait, is it still AEW, or is the hottest show WWE Dynamite? I'm sorry.
Look at Matt. Matt loves fashion.
All of these tiny little JR botches.
We're having a new entry on this list. We're just gonna put Jim Ross, because Matt loves to bash him some Jim Ross. Let me tell you.
Hey, again, like I said, this isn't me telling people to stop bashing. This is clearly things that I do. I will say, there should be a nice, clearly defined line. The difference between Nia Jax and Matt Sydal fucking up, or punches being thrown, I think, by John Silver that will forever be a gif of him just punching air. There's a huge difference, I think, between injuring someone and just kind of slipping off the ring and fucking up. Let go of all the slips and the whoopsies, but the dangerous wrestling I'm worried about. I don't know that. Right? No.
I mean,
we're good with the.
I thought those were some those weren't marshmallow punches. Those were real John Silver, haymakers. I don't know what you're talking about.
Into the air.
Yeah. That oxygen didn't know what to do. Man, I think we're almost at the end of this list here.
We fucked up. I don't know which one to end with, because I think we went through some pretty good ones already. But I'll just grab one here. Let's just go ref bumps. Ref bumps get their fair share of bashing because goddamn is it over fucking done Jesus Christ. I mean, we've had full pay-per-views where half the matches end because of some sort of ref bump. I think it's deserved. This is one that's on the list that absolutely we should bash until it goes away, because refs should be smarter. I think it's lazy booking to continue to go after a ref bump so that two wrestlers still look strong, but this ref who's been doing it for 30 years looks like a fucking moron because he's yelling at somebody that's outside the ring, and then he gets kicked in the back of the head while somebody's doing an FU. It's just, or an F5. That's another one. But it's enough. I'm gonna throw that. It's on the list, but deservedly. This is not a list of things to stop bashing, but clearly, ref bumps, bash away. Fethtar says refs exist to bump. I
love it, Fethtar. The last one we had on here, we'll make it quick, is Schmaz finishes, because I don't really believe there's much to bash. I think it's a upstanding way to end a wrestling match and maybe even a pay-per-view.
One of the worst, like, how anticlimactic was the Sting Triple H match that, they built up from Survivor Series. So we're talking November to April. If not,
you mean Sting's old best buddies from WCW, the NWO, came out to rescue him?
Yeah, not only does that not make sense, but what the fuck were we doing? It's just overproduced. Let's make sure that everybody still looks strong. And then the big old hug at the end. Probably one of the worst schmaz finishes of all time. But yeah, I think this is about.
Well, I think that's what people really love to bash, is legends. That's probably what we're getting at here. Yeah. That's entry number 11, but also kind of entry number 1.
Maybe number 1. Let's say this is a good one to end on. I
can't believe Goldberg beat the Fiend.
Well, fuck that.
No, you know what? Goldberg created your childhood. Let him have one last match against this masked buffoon. I'm all over Goldberg. What a booking decision that was.
No, it's good to bash legends. Like, we got to tell them when to retire and to stay home. We know what's best for them. Get out of here. No, stop trying to Randy the Ram your career. Just get the hell out of here. All right.
Take a page from The Undertaker. He walked away.
This might be a good transition, though, but Benjamin Davis is ready to talk about AEW Dynamite last night.
I know, we're right at the end of the episode. Good to meet you, Benjamin. But we're basically going to do our tweet-length reviews of NXT and AEW. So they're going to be brief. They're going to be quick. Matt,
you're going first.
I guess I'm going first.
I always go first.
Geez. I'm going to say moment number 3 was hardcore, because we do our top 3 moments. Try to throw a dishonorable mention in there. Man, moment number 3. Cody and QT Marshall having a God, I can't even think of the name of the match because of what I want to call it. A strap match. Man, it's hardcore duck duck goose. My favorite type of wrestling. I didn't have very high expectations coming into a QT Marshall match, but my expectations were eclipsed, if you will. And Cody triumphing in the Battle of the Duck Duck Goose combatants. Was a sight to see. It was a really strong way to open up a wrestling show for 15 to 20 minutes with a commercial. Matt, well done for number 3. Matt, moment number 3 for next extra time wrestling. What do you got?
How many tweets was that, Mike? All right,
that was a feed. That was a whole Twitter feed, if you will.
Hashtag Cameron Grimes. I'm just kidding. Going down to LA Knight, who is now going to be LA Knight's personal butler's my number 3 moment from the Great American Bash. Mike, I absolutely love Cameron
Only 3?
Grimes. What?
I was going to put that moment number 1 of the whole week.
I thought about it.
I love that decision.
It's number 3 because maybe it wasn't the best match on the card, but this is about what's happening in the future, and Cameron Grimes is going to give us absolute gold by being LA Knight's butler. Again, some goofy fun, as we talked about in our previous segment. Mike, moment number two. There's my JR. Moment number two, Mike, from AEW.
Man, JR is never going to be a guest on this show. All right, moment number two, Matt. I can't not put it on the list. It was the Hangman finally coming out to answer the call against Kenny Omega. When we talked about what a bummer COVID was, obviously, death and destruction, but it also kind of pushed back the push for Hangman Adam Page. And now that COVID is over, kind of, except for the Delta variant, but the Hangman and Omega are finally building to a pay-per-view match, and this crowd was electric for the Cowboy shit. It was everything we were waiting for. It somehow magically AEW just pressed pause on this man's push, and then when it looked like things were going to be right, just hit play, and it's still just climbing, still ascending. The Hangman just has that Mount Everest push coming. And I think this crowd's ready for it. And I think Omega he's gotten to the point where, all right, this son of a bitch needs to go down. And Hangman is so beloved, he could be the goddamn man to do it. Matt, that was moment number two. Matt, I just moment number two.
Want to point out, nobody has ever asked you to set this segment up as tweet length reviews.
These are long tweets. All right, sometimes they're a whole TikTok video. This is a whole TikTok.
How you do it?
All right,
this match would have been number
two for next
Jesus,
TikTok.
Oh my fucking God. This match would have been number one had the result made any fucking sense. But it was such a great match. But it is MSK going over Tommaso Ciampa and Timothy Thatcher. My boys were owed a title run. I think the fans at these shows, they're just not following MSK, and they're fine. But they're not doing it for me. And every team they face, that team becomes my new favorite. So what are we doing here? But MSK continues to win, and I guess maybe this will be my new bash as the team I don't like continues to get booked to win, and especially over my favorites. So that was moment number two. Mike, moment number one.
Well, dishonorable mention. It's going to be quick. Inner Circle and the Pinnacle are still feuding. When you go on Twitter, when you look on my Twitter feed, we're all kind of like, let's move on. I think we got it. I don't need to see these guys fight ever again. They actually posted the 3-on-3 records for Hagar the Horrible, Jake Hagar the Horrible, and Santana and Ortiz versus FTR and Wardlow. I think they were a combined 1-1 and 1-1 was their win-loss record. I'm pretty sure they've just been fighting each other. Ready for that feud to be over. Man, moment number one, without question. It was probably the most exciting moment all week. We thought it was like 60 days earlier than it possibly could have been. Matt, it was the reintroduction of Malakai Black into our lives. Aleister Black, Tommy End. He's back on our TVs. He came out, and like we mentioned before, he black masked Arn Anderson to a point that he Sammy Sosa bat flipped, and then just took an amazing back bump. In addition to a foot to the face to help get over the newest AEW recruit. And it looks like Malakai is going to be feuding with Cody. This is, going to be the talk of the wrestling town for weeks and months to come. Really excited to see what this guy Malakai has in store for us storyline wise. This is it was a great debut, A+ debut. Matt, I know sometimes you cheat and say, well, NXT was so perfect. They didn't have a dishonorable mention. But, Matt, if you could find it in your heart to find just the crappiest moment of NXT, if there was one.
I mean, it's a short card, but I guess, give me Ciampa and Thatcher. Give me champions there, because I'm worried they're going to break up this tag team now.
Damn it.
Number one. This might come as a surprise, but this was a loaded segment, and I'm all about story. Io Shirai, Zoe Stark, my NXT Women's Tag Team Champions. And, of course, Mike, the battery is filled. Tegan Nox is back and coming after Candice LeRae. But this moment is number one, Mike, because Dexter Lumis is still in love with Indy. The love
One
story
man, one
continued.
woman, two hearts become one. I love it.
He came to save Indy at the end of the match, and it was beautiful. I love that Dexter's back on my TV. I think he is one of the most underrated guys on the WWE roster, and I eagerly await his release so he can join AEW. Mike,
Matt,
that is
before
the
we
NXT
go,
Great American Bash.
Hot tag.
Yeah.
Whose OnlyFans would you subscribe to first? Drew McIntyre or Dexter Lumis? Your thoughts?
Oh my God, what are you, Drew McIntyre? What the fuck? Come on. It's not even close.
You don't want him to watch him stand outside people's windows and just stare at them suggestively?
Clearly I do, but
For
if I
Lumis?
had to pick between the two, why in God's name would I not go with the
You'd rather-
Beast from Belfast?
You'd rather listen to McIntyre tell these long, boring stories about where an old sword came from? Snooze.
Oh wait, I just gave him the nickname of Seamus, didn't I? He's the Scottish psychopath. Beast from Belfast is Ireland, right?
Man, get your globe out. Come on. What kind of McIntyre fan are you?
Yeah. Hopefully, I get ripped in the comments as this video continues to.
If they don't, Mike, I will.
I want to do. Let's pump up next week's episode, Mike. I made a list here. We didn't get into it. Mike, I want to do 10 wrestlers, and we'll do this next week. You make your list. Everybody who's watching at home, make your list. 10 wrestlers that could jump ship to AEW, and you would never need to watch WWE ever again. Just a quick hint. You may have heard one of the names for me that would do it. But this is going to be fun. You're basically building 2 Survivor Series teams here. If you want to look at it that way. So that's what I kind of have built here. Mike, I hope we don't have 2 mirrored lists. I don't think we will. But I mean, right now I'm looking at my list and kind of going, you know what? I'm going to make a change to it. So we'll have that list. I hope everybody will tune in next week. For all of the hockey fans out there, Red Wings Rant is still going strong. We're coming to you guys twice a week, but we got 3 episodes this week, and that is thanks to Dynasty by Decade. You guys can find on the Hockey Podcast Network, where myself and Red Wings broadcaster Ken Kell went over the 1990s for the Detroit Red Wings, everything in the 80s that led to them becoming this 90s dynasty, the Cups, and then, of course, what came after that. If you guys are hockey fans, it's a great little documentary sesh that we set up, Ken Kell and I. And then, of course, the full show is available, too, so you guys can see the 60s, 70s, 80s, and, of course, the 90s as we're going through. Now, highly recommend it, but sticking with pro wrestling, find us at BOD Podcast on Twitter, brothers_of_discussion on Instagram. And if you are watching on Twitch, subscribe. And if you're on YouTube, hit that old subscribe button. Twitch, hey, Mike, we could do the new WWE game that just came up free on the PlayStation Network. And then, like I mentioned, as soon as I can get my little baby boy on a good sleep schedule, I will be going through The Witcher. If anybody's a fan, tomorrow's WitcherCon, so might be a good time to start doing that. Kind of jump on those hashtags. But yeah, thanks for tuning in, everybody. Have a good one.